You live from Vietnam. No. All right, y'all. If y'all can make your way to the front this week, we have a good crowd, but we don't have the biggest crowd where we need the back seats. So if y'all don't mind moving up, getting close, getting comfortable. These seats up here are much more comfortable back there, I promise. Awesome. How's everyone doing this morning? All right, let's try again. How's everyone doing this morning? All right, good. Is anyone new this morning? I don't think we have. Y'all are new? Okay. Most everyone else is new. This is fun because I don't have to do a whole lot of explanation. But for y'all, I'll keep it short and simple. Since y'all are actually presenting today, y'all kind of know what's up. But 1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program where we have entrepreneurs come and tell their stories. And through that process, we're able to empathize what they're going through. So we focus more on why are they starting this? What led them to do this? And why are they so passionate about it? Through that storytelling process, one, it sticks in our brain a little bit better because stories are just better to listen to than a business pitch. But two, it helps us evangelize what that entrepreneur is doing. We can walk out of here with a story to tell people. And that's the cool part about this is that we want to grow and make this an echo chamber for entrepreneurial activity in our region. So we're so thankful to do this. We couldn't do it without our sponsors. So thank you to the Venture Center, the Little Rock Chamber. We have C-Dots Media as well as Sparkable. And last but not least, the Kauffman Foundation for helping us put this on. And I mentioned the Kauffman Foundation, and that is actually the organization that we charter this event from. And if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have all the tools to make this happen. So that's enough about all that. My name is Jordan Carlisle, by the way, for you new folks. I'm one of the organizers here. And we have our other organizers here too. And we actually have 2 new ones that I'll wait and announce afterwards. But we've got Nicholas Norfolk, Mike Steely, and we also have Susie Cowan and Jessica Johnson-Myers, who has been around, but she's kind of a new addition to the operational side of things. And then a big shout out to Steve as well, who helps us with all the setup and stuff. So 2 things before we hand off to our presenter. One is social media. If you're on Twitter, if you're using Twitter, capture inspiration and tweet those out, take pictures, because we want to share to those who are not able to make it today. And if they weren't able to make it today and they want to watch live, they can actually do so by finding the link that the Venture Center tweets out, and that will be on Google Hangouts. So that will also be available afterwards if you want to watch that. And we'll write the rest of the stuff up here if we haven't already done so. All right, so without further ado, it's my pleasure introducing a gentleman who I got to know through one of the first accelerators that he did, and is absolutely proving himself to be a serial entrepreneur in his own right at a very fast pace, and also consider him a friend of mine now. Let's give it up for Spencer Jones. He's going to tell us about LineGard Med.
Hey guys, my name's Spencer Jones. Can y'all hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? My name's Spencer Jones. I'm a registered nurse and CEO of LineGard Med. About a year ago, let's see, hold on. There we go. So about a year ago, I was taking care of a patient who had dementia. And it was during my nightly rounds. I walk into her room and there's blood just all over the floor. And then there's blood all over her bed. And I can still see her face. She had ripped out that IV site she had in her arm and she had no idea what she had done. And this problem wasn't specific to me, my unit, or even my hospital. The more I dove into this, we found that 7.5% of all central lines are accidentally dislodged. The Journal for Interventional Vascular Radiology did a study in 2013 that found that, and each time it happens, it costs about $575 on average. Even more expensive, over 24 million peripheral IVs each year are accidentally dislodged. This costs about $45 each time. So all of this accumulates to almost $1 billion problem for the U.S. healthcare system. And aside from kind of the huge waste of money on this, it was really kind of a traumatic and debilitating experience for everybody. I mean, the patient, obviously, there's the pain, the bruising, the bleeding. For the family, they were really upset. They would ask me, Spencer, why did you let my dad pull out his IV site? You know, and for the nurse, it's just frustrating because we can't be in the room all the time, right? We have multiple patients. What we had at our disposal was either restraining them to the bed with physical restraints or using chemical sedatives and then trying to do that. And both of those really made the problem worse. And you know, not having the tools at my disposal was what really drove me to come to the Safe Break, which I'm so excited to tell you guys about. Our product is a two-piece breakaway adapter. It fits in between the patient's IV site and the IV tubing. So upon a certain threshold of tension, our device separates at our intended point. By creating that necessary separation, we seal off the IV side so that IV catheter remains patent and remains in the arm. But we also seal off that IV tubing side, which is important because we protect that IV tubing. You don't have to tear it down and get a new bag and a new set of tubing. But also that pump, that IV pump, senses that occlusion and then it alarms. So even if the nurse isn't in the room, the second that event happens, the nurse hears the beep and knows to come in the room and investigate. Because countless times I would walk in the room and you know, the lights are off, they're in the bed, they're asleep. You know, you're not going to come in and rip open the covers, turn on the lights, and, you know, look at them head to toe every hour. So I would walk in and, you know, in the morning when we were changing shift, and there would be medicine just pumping in the bed because they had barely pulled it out and then just covered it back up. So it really was, you know, a huge problem. By creating that necessary separation in the line, we prevent the accidental dislodgement of IV sites. And in doing so, we reduce the amount of unnecessary supplies that the hospital has to buy. And one of the biggest things, and you know, frankly, I'm a nurse, so I think this is one of the cooler things, is that we optimize the nurse's workflow and we really make it more efficient. Nurses spend more time caring for the patients and doing tasks that they're supposed to be doing instead of doing unnecessary tasks and rework and resticking their patients because, you know, as you all know, with the new HCAP surveys and patient satisfaction is really on the kind of the forefront of hospital CEOs' minds because patient satisfaction really does impact Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement. So here's a look at the market. The competitors in the catheter securement device market, they really have one thing in common. They predicate around being the strongest adhesive possible. You know, we understand that, you know, adhesives are an important part of vascular access securement, but they're not the last line of defense. They will all fail at a certain point. We had independent studies that show that each one of these fails at 16 pounds of pull force or less. But we see the problem and therefore the solution just a little bit differently. We understand that they will fail, so we only rely on them up to 6 pounds of pull force, upon which our device separates. And then in creating that necessary separation, that's what differentiates us, and that's what allows us to protect IV access devices regardless of the catastrophic pull force. We are a 510K Class 2 device. 510K is the FDA, Food and Drug Administration regulatory process for devices. And 510K is kind of the fast track. It means that, you know, something out there exists that's somewhat similar, predicate device, and if they view it as substantially equivalent, they really kind of push you through the process, so it usually doesn't take that long. And our predicate device is the standard Luer lock used in hospitals everywhere today. For reimbursement on the insurance side, when sold in these larger central line and PIC kits, we'll piggyback off of their reimbursement codes. But when sold single package out of those kits, will be reimbursed as part of the room charge under that, you know, under that diagnosis related payment group, just like the other catheter securement devices. So kind of this is our go-to-market. During this past summer, when we were at the 0 to 510 Accelerator, our customer discovery showed us that adoption of these products is 100% driven by the clinical efficacy and the clinical evidence. You know, does it work when you use it on patients? Does it save the hospital money? So that's really where we start our go-to-market. We'll be conducting proactive observational studies as well as pilot studies using the device to understand, you know, what these events do to the patient's outcome and then their charges, and also see if our device can help, and then track the difference in our device against the control group. We're going to take that data and disseminate it through the different vascular access and infusion-related journals and also their national conferences. We've already gotten great reception from these groups. We're already on their radar, and we think that once we have this data and we push it to them, they're really going to take hold of it and run with it. We're going to use that clinical education to drive our early adopters. We see those as hospitals that have a high critical care bed count and also those that self-distribute because they really have a stranglehold on their own supply chain. So adoption of new products like this is very easy for them. Critical care hospitals, mainly because the number of central lines, which are those much bigger, much more expensive access lines, 50% of all critical care patients receive those central lines. So that's why it's a priority for them. We're going to use those early adopter pilots and convert those successful pilots into purchase orders, and then leverage those success stories to start selling into hospital systems with a distribution partnership. It's really hard to go after those big hospital systems unless you have the infrastructure to distribute, in really kind of mass quantities. So that's why we think leveraging a distribution partnership is really the way to go as we try to scale past those early adopters. So what does it look like for us? I'm sorry this is a little dark, but I'll read it for you. So one average size hospital, 160 beds, we anticipate selling 10,000 units a year to them. And that's every one of their central lines and then 25% of their smaller peripheral IVs. So for us, that's 10,000 units a year with 80,000 in yearly revenue with a 75% profit margin. So expanding it out, the US system has over 5,600 hospitals. So that gives us a target market of just about 450 million, just over that. And I'd like to also throw in here that we applied this patent not only to IV sites, but we applied it to the different types of medical tubing, arterial lines, drains, nasogastric tubes, Foley catheters. And we think that's going to give us a really nice product portfolio as we move forward and start iterating this device to the different applications. So the team, myself, you've already heard enough about me. I used to work in as a CNA, like the butt wipers in a rehab facility. I was an LPN in long-term care. I was an RN in inpatient settings. So I've really kind of seen, ran the gamut of the different kinds of patients you see, and I understand really what nurses need to get the job done in the hospital setting. Louis Diesel, our Chief Marketing Officer, he's worked for 2 different startups on 2 separate continents, brings a lot of international business experience to the team. And then David DePoyster, co-founder and investor. David has over 20 years of medical device sales and development experience, and has really played an integral role in our development process via the manufacturer. David's a part owner of the manufacturer where the device is being made right now. So for our advisory board, we really kind of stand on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Shears is a director at large for the Association of Vascular Access, and he's also an editor for their journal. He's going to be really critical when we're disseminating that research to have his name on it, have him really pushing it, and also going to get published in that journal, hopefully. Dawn Norman, she's a managing partner at Memphis Regulatory Consulting. They're really, in Memphis, they're one of the go-to people for all of your medical device and kind of that, biotech, pharma regulatory process. She was director of clinical affairs for Medtronic, Christie Medical, Novaline, and she really has a lot of experience working with companies both big and small. So this summer, we purchased the fully issued utility patent in March, and then within a month, we're accepted to the 0 to 510 accelerator, and then we filed additional IP claims shortly thereafter. We were able to this summer get not 1, but 2 different prototypes, and we're almost to our frozen design. After we get to that frozen design, we're going to be able to really ramp up the manufacturing effort and start that FDA submission process. We've also began collaboration with the Center for Innovation in Healthcare Logistics. They're out of the engineering school in Fayetteville, and they're really tasked with understanding healthcare supply chain, but with a retail lens on it. So we really think we're going to be able to utilize their research capabilities so we can get the right data we need whenever we go into these hospitals and pilot these programs. But this was part of the progress. Some of the best progress that we had this summer came from the clinical and the industry side. We have a commitment from Regional One Health. They used to be called the Med in Memphis. They're one of the largest and busiest trauma centers in the nation. We've got a commitment from them to do a pilot trial with our device. We'll be starting that in early 2016. And we're really excited about this because, like I said, they're high critical care, high trauma. They have so many central lines. They actually reached out to us and said, we want to do a pilot. We hadn't even asked them yet. And so that kind of reception was really good to have. And also CHI St. Vincent's right here in Little Rock, the hospital I used to work at, I met with them about it, and they were so interested that they asked us also to do a study, a proactive study, so they can understand, when is this happening? Where is it happening in our hospital? Why is it happening? What does it mean for the patients? What does it mean for our bottom line? They had no idea whenever we came to them with the problem, and so they wanted to really kind of look inside and understand what's going on in their hospital better. But one of the biggest pieces of progress, Medline, one of the nation's largest medical supply distributors, we received a letter of intent for them that upon FDA clearance, they want to be our distribution and kitting partner. They do over $7 billion in sales a year and have international offices or international distributing headquarters all over the place. So we're really excited about once we hit clearance, we really have the strategic partnerships lined up to really make a dent in this really heavy consolidated market. So our ask is $600K. That's really going to get us to the strategic point of that commercialization cliff. And to do that, it's going to be the FDA submission and clearance, completing that pilot study, and then disseminating that data, getting the product launched, and getting our early adopters locked in. This 600K will get us to that point, upon which we'll make really kind of a strategic decision. Do we go heavy with a strategic partnership, or do we go a more independent sales route? And once we get to that point, we think the early adoption traction that we have is going to line us up really well to have a big strategic partner come in and want to play with us. We've already talked to a few of them, and they're very timid about getting involved with a company that doesn't have FDA clearance. But they've indicated to us that as soon as we get that, then they're really ready to roll. So when you go in the hospital, everybody knows about IV sites, but if you really think about it, that is your vital lifeline to medications and therapies, especially if you're in the critical care, and especially if you're an elderly person that's really kind of hanging on a thread. We think that the hospital should be doing everything they can to protect that IV access device, and we think we are the patient-centered solution that is going to help protect patients' IV access and then keep them on the path to healing. My name is Spencer. I'd love to talk to you more after the pitch. Thanks.
Q&A. All right, so we've got to fast track a little bit because we have another presentation, but we have time for about 10, 15 minutes of Q&A. All right, and make sure you say your name and what you do.
Hey, Spencer.
Hey.
Lee McAllister, founder and CEO of Broadband Development Group. So that sounds like a lot of good news. What's the downside? What's the bad part? What's the unintended consequence? Where's the failure?
Right. So one of the biggest things is we don't want it to fail too quick, right? We don't want you to just kind of sneeze and the thing disconnect. So that's one of our, I guess you call it pain points right now, is really trying to understand, what secondary adhesive do we need? How big does that adhesive need to be? How do we need to instruct the nurses to apply the secondary adhesive? All those little kind of variables is what we're going to really flesh out during this pilot. And we might try, one method on this unit, another method on this unit. That's probably one of the bigger pain points. And then, aside from that, understanding with the fiscal impact of one small device in a hospital is not going to be easy. But we've actually we've contracted a consultant. He's out of Oregon. That's what his company does. It's their specialty is building those studies to try to capture that data. But those are really the two biggest. That's more or less what keeps me up at night. If I had to say. Any questions?
Hi, Joe Calhoun, Intellectual Property Law. Once it breaks, I understand, it stops the blood flow and so forth. Nurse next comes and puts it back in, puts a new unit together. I mean, you're not going to stick the person again, apparently.
No, that's a good question.
What happens next?
So initially, we envisioned the device to get reconnected, right? Just same device.
Same unit, same.
Right, same device. But when we kind of started, running the traps on that, if it hits the floor, you're a busy nurse. Oh, I'm just going to, hook it back up. Infection risk. We decided that if we tried to pitch that to risk management and infection control, they would eat our lunch. So, and there was kind of a business side of the move too, that, if it's not reconnectable, they have to use another unit, right? They have to install another device. So that's why we went to a true disposable model. We can make it for cheaper if it's a true disposable. And it also, the stem mechanism, that's kind of the root of our IP, it's a lot easier if it breaks once, and that's kind of where the name comes from, safe break. Once it breaks, it can't be reconnected. So we've designed it to where even if you do reconnect it, that stem inside that actuates those valves breaks after the whole device comes apart. So even if you were to try to reconnect it, there's going to be no flow, and that you're not going to be able to pump anything. So physically, you'd have to replace the device. But yeah, that was kind of one of the big things, and obviously it drives more units, but it really was based. You have to be careful to making those decisions based on business. You have to really make it on the clinical side first, and then if it's better for the business, that's fine. But like I said, the clinical evidence behind it is what drives it. So that's why we made that decision. Sorry.
Hi, Spencer.
Hey.
April Pollard, financial advisor here in Little Rock. I actually saw your presentation last year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I am 100% floored at how far you've come since then.
Thank you.
I was
Thank you.
I was really impressed last year. And to see your presentation and hear your numbers and what has happened since last year, that's the kind of progress that we really like to see with businesses when you go through the program and and come out on the other side. And it's just fantastic. And that's
Well,
all.
and I would credit completely the Venture Center and everybody here that's helped me and my advisors. And then the 0 to 510 program in Memphis, it was really like a intense boot camp. They trained me to pitch. They trained, all the business development stuff. So I give the credit to them. But thank you.
I have a quick side note though. This is actually his second product for a new company. So what you saw last year was a different thing. It's still going. This is something new.
Yeah. No, it's actually, that was the BVAD that I pitched last year. And we're actually two separate companies, but we're probably going to license in that technology so we can sell it all under LineGard Med's brand.
You had just mentioned the safe break last time or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've pitched it a lot, so I can't. Yeah. But maybe.
Hey, got a series of questions actually. Probably we may have to talk after this, right? So my name is Unni Perod. I'm one of the startup fellows here. We didn't see anything related to your competition, so a little bit on that maybe help.
The competition?
Yeah.
So there is no device right now that goes in between the IV tubing and the IV site. We're the only device that does that. You can't come up and say, hey, we have no competitors. Great, guys, give me money. That our closest direct competitor is are those catheter securement devices. I'll just flip back. There's really one competitor too. I mean, this guy Bard, their StatLock, they own 80% of the market share, and it's mainly because Bard has a stranglehold on the PICC line market. PICC lines are those real long, expensive ones we were talking about. They have 80% market share in PICC line, 80% market share in catheter securement. They kind of piggyback that to get that market share. They're really the main competitor, but at the end of the day, when we pitch it to people, we say kind of we're a catheter securement device, but when we're talking to clinical people, we're a dislodgement prevention device. We're trying to differentiate ourselves in the clinical setting from these guys, but for pitch purposes, these kind of have to be listed as our most direct competitors. I actually met with the GripLock guys and the SecuriCath guys at a conference a while ago, and we could work with these products. You could be using any of these products, and then it would actually make our products stronger, right? So it doesn't have to be an either or. You can do both, but at the same time, we don't need their products to work well either. We can do it with our own adhesives. Moving on, have you ever thought about what kind of margins that you can make on this once you really start producing it? Yeah, so our margins right now that we see are $2 to make the product and then get it packaged, sterilized, ready to go. About $2 roughly. I got some outside engineering consulting done, and just the materials part, they said we should be able to get down to about 85 cents to $1, and then the packaging part is relatively cheap. So we think that as we go past the early adopters and we kind of get to that full scale commercialization, we're going to end up switching manufacturers to somebody that's a little bit more economic as far as the cost is concerned. But we're still going to probably sell it for $8. We think the market's going to bear that price based on the kind of competitive price it is with the other devices, plus the cost savings. I mean, we did a cost analysis. If it's saving you, $575 on average for one central line, we did the number of central lines a hospital puts in, the number that gets accidentally pulled out, that cost, if accumulated that cost for the number of devices they would have to buy, it's like a 4-to-1 return on investment at an $8 price point. So we haven't had any pushback on the price point at all, because when you show them the cost savings at a real hard cost materials basis, they're hooked. And that doesn't even take into account the optimization of workflow, reordering of medications, so and so. So moving on, one of the last one. As I told you, I have a couple more, right? So it seems like you're still far away from really going production, because first of all, you have to really do a study, probably at least 100,000 data points before you can even go to the 510K clearance. Even that required some studies done in the United States. So it seems like you're probably at least a year before you can really do this. We think we'll be able to go to market in around May, June of next year. Once we submit for the 510K, there's a 90-day kind of window. So we think that's going to happen in a 3-month time period, 2 to 3 months. And really, this device is not that complex, and the predicates are very strong for it. So that's why we think that. We're already on kind of the second 2.5 prototype, and we're really almost to that frozen design. And as soon as we get to that frozen design, tooling and fixturing, order that, then you start cranking out those. The sterilization of those, as far as the FDA is concerned, you don't have to really get to that full sale market ready to submit to the FDA. You have to be close. The product has to be there, but you don't have to get everything else around it completely ready for the market before FDA. So we anticipate submitting in January, market by May or June.
So Spencer, Mike Steely with Sparkle. So just those questions right there from when I met you, back around our challenge days and all that. You were a nurse, came up, saw basically a problem, decided to solve it. Can you talk a little bit, less detail on the specifics of it, but a little higher for the audience, how you've gone through this process of learning so much in such a little bit of time, to where you can talk about this today?
So I kind of want to echo what I said to her about the kind of programming through the accelerators. I mean, the ARC challenge was great, but 0 to 510 in Memphis, it was medical device focused and medical device specific. So, every single day we were in there 8 to 5, and we had hospital CEOs, reimbursement gurus, IP, trademark, run the gamut of anything you need to know. Materials managers from hospitals coming in. We would go to Smith & Nephew, meet with their global executives of medical education, pitch to them. They would tell us they would tell us what they needed. And we really learned about the business from a granular level, but then they kind of, as we went through the program, they kind of showed us, okay, this is what it looks like in a granular kind of in a microcosm. Here's how you scale it to this point. This is what it looks like when you're at a massive company, Smith & Nephew, Medtronic. And that kind of the programming and the way they ramped it up gave us a really good understanding of really the whole entire medical device market. There was kind of some reading that we had to do. And if anybody's interested in some healthcare supply chain books, we've got a few that you could read. Rainy day. But no, it was really, the programming itself and then really just immersing yourself in it. We lived it and breathed it all summer, and, I live it and breathe it now. And it did help. It was a huge help that I had. When they would reference parts of the hospital, things in the hospital, processes, I knew them like the back of my hand, and other people just had to kind of imagine them. So that was a huge help. And being a nurse really helped out too, because people kind of believe what you say whenever you tell them, hey, my patients pulled this out. No one's going to say, no, they didn't, because I was there. That's a weird way to put it, but at the same time, it was an asset. So any other questions? Yeah.
We got plenty of time. Go ahead.
Just one more. I know last time you were in, and I had mentioned it, but you being a nurse and going from your day-to-day grind and seeing where there was an opportunity to make something better. Mm-hmm. You mentioned something today that you took it to the hospital, and the hospital had no idea that there was a problem. So with nurses, there's so many, and it's a fantastic community of people who are in the day-to-day, but where is that disconnect? And what can be done for these hospitals to say, hey, what's really going on out there, and make the whole medical device?
Well, that's a really, really good question. So nurses are overworked and understaffed. We work 13-hour shifts, and the state recommends 4 to 5 patients. I would have 6, 7, 8 at a time. Some of them have chest tubes. Some of them are, it's one of those things where if something like this happens with one of your patients and you've got 7, you don't talk to the other 6 for a while. You focus on that one thing and you got to solve it. So the direct patient care, and when I say direct patient care, I mean like all the little stuff, the tubing, the connectors, the pumps, all the stuff in the room. No one's focusing on that. No one's innovating there. There's not, and the reason is because there's not this crazy amount of money there, right? You come up with a new cure for X, Y, or Z, you're a billionaire, right? That's where all the money is, and that really high-end biotech, healthcare IT stuff, that's where all the focus is. Who wants to be, perfect example, Hep C cure that's out right now, $85,000 for a regimen. Why do you think they're more interested in that than an $8 device, right? And there's nobody, there's not a concerted effort amongst large healthcare organizations to innovate at the direct patient care level. Part of the reason is it's not their moneymaker. That's not where they make money in the hospital. The OR is where they churn out money. That's why surgeons are treated like the bell cows, because they truly do bring in the money for the hospital. They basically just run the rest of the hospital, because obviously you got to have intake people and then discharge them after surgery to those rooms. And that's kind of one of the things you learned about why that is, because reimbursement and payments, and that's why the orthopedic industry is so huge, because you're talking about a $35,000 piece of hardware, and this doctor can crank out 7 surgeries a day. $1 minute in the OR is $100. they don't look at nursing time like that. They don't look at the direct patient care stuff like that, but they're starting to. They're starting to, and say what you want about the ACA, but it's really pushed and driven an initiative to look at the entirety of your healthcare system. And you'll hear the term covered lives, right? Before it was about get them in, ring the cash register, and push them out the door. If they come back, that's fine. You get to charge them again. Now it's the hospital is responsible for that life before it comes in, when it leaves. If it readmits too quick, they don't get reimbursed. So they're really having to take a different approach and have a more holistic approach to healthcare. And that's one of the reasons why I think these types of products are resonating. You're saving pain. Before 10 years ago, hospitals didn't care if you saved the patient pain and saved the family strife. They said, how much does the device cost itself? That's a line item cost. It's $8 extra. We don't want it, right? Now they have to care about pain. They have to care about the readmissions. They have to care about length of stay. So all of those things are kind of driving for these types of direct patient care products to be at the forefront. But there definitely needs to be more concerted effort. And I know there's some hospitals in Arkansas especially that have seen that initiative, and they're actually making moves to innovate more and kind of disrupt their own system so they can change for the better. So great question.
We have time for one last one. Does anyone else have one? Because Uni asked a lot already. All right.
Go for it.
My name's Chris Atkinson. Is this product a pivot from the original one that you were talking about?
There are two completely separate products. One of them is a true vascular access catheter, and then this one is more or less an accessory to vascular access devices. This one can be used on peripheral IV, central lines, whatever. The other one is strictly a peripheral IV catheter. You can actually use both of them at the same time, which would be sweet.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
All right. That was a quick one. Is anyone, Uni, how quick is yours? All right. All right.
Hey, just wanted to check with you on your distribution strategies. I know that you're looking for money. So if it's a patent pending technology and if it's something new, there may be a distributor like Cardinal, may be able to just give you all the money you need and make it happen for a distribution. Right?
So,
and the other side is like, most of the sales are happening through GPOs and IDNs, those are long process. So you may have to just start thinking about those as well. Just want to put it out there.
Yeah, as far as the distribution is concerned, Medline would be a great partner, and we did get the LOI from them, but I don't think they're the ideal partner. They are more box movers. So is Cardinal, McKesson. They're all box movers in large part. We want our partner to be somebody that's either within vascular access or infusion related. So you're talking about Baxter, BD, Bard, B. Braun. I was looking at a lot of their 10Ks and doing, kind of analyzing those, and they would be the ideal partner. A lot of them have a priority on manufacturing the products that they sell, and they have a priority on having a really educated sales force that cannot open up a catalog and say, hey, how's it going? Which of these do you want? Close the catalog. We need somebody that's going to go in there and say, this is a new SafeBreak product. This is innovative, and it's going to really help your healthcare system and sell it, not just move a box. So that's what we're looking for in a distribution partner. We had a call with B. Braun, one of their account managers and project engineers, and they're on the same, they're kind of on the same page. That's what they bring to the table. They bring, the kitting, the sourcing of the parts, all of the different things that we need out of a partner. So we think it's going to end up being somebody either in vascular access or infusion supplies for the partner. And that would help us get around the GPO. And, GPOs and IDNs are a part of it. But from the materials managers that we've talked to, they would be okay. All of them said, yeah, this is an innovative enough product. We'll have it be an off-contract product until we can get it on contract. But that is a great question. Thank you guys so much.
Hold on. Hold your horses. And I know you've been gone for a while, and you've done a lot since you were gone.
Right.
But the way we end every 1 million cups is we ask you, what is the one thing we can do today to help you? So if we could take one action item, what would it be?
If you know any nurses or direct patient care people, tell them about this and tell them to start asking for it. Because if we can get the nurses on the floor asking their nurse managers and directors of nursing to say, we need this product, this happened to me, why aren't we doing this? Then those guys bend the ear of the chief nursing officer, and then that's how they call us to get a meeting. That would be huge. So, if you have any nurses, healthcare people that are consistently hospitalized and need IV access, tell them about it and tell them to be an advocate for it. That is my biggest help that you guys could do for me.
All right, thank you, Spencer. Let's
Thank
give
you.
Spencer a huge
Thank
round
you.
of applause. All right. Up next, we are going to hear a presentation from not necessarily our typical 1 million cups presenter, but we are going to hear about a great community event, or not event, a community organization that is a part of our 1 Million Cups family, and we want to show support for them. And so it's going to be Jessica and Tasha talking about Cherry Dames Arkansas, and they're just going to spend a few minutes talking about what their mission is, how you can learn more about them, and they're probably going to demonstrate a little bit about what they do. And it has to do with women's empowerment, and it's really cool. So y'all come on up.
Hello, everybody can hear me? So thanks for letting me come up and talk with you today. My name is Jessica Wade. This is Tasha Harvey, and we are the founders of the Arkansas Cherry Dames. I enjoy coming to 1 Million Cups. So after hearing everybody and all their inspiring stories, I was like, I've got to get up there and tell mine. So Arkansas Cherry Dames is something people often have questions about because it is many different forms. It has all kinds of different aspects. We are a 1950s women's empowerment organization, and we want to show Arkansas and everywhere that women don't have to be a certain way or any type of body type or any particular type of person, that we all have a different meaning in life, and some people just need some help down the road. So, let's see. Being a women's empowerment group, you come upon a whole lot of things you might not have been prepared for. Me and Tasha set out on this journey to be better women ourselves. We had no idea that eventually we would have about 50 women that we inspired on a daily basis. So we asked a couple people to come out with us. We wanted to know what it was like. We enjoyed the pinup. We were doing it for our own different reasons. And then we had about 15 ladies our very first time. So there's lots of different generations. Oh, there's lots of different types of ladies in this photo. This is the first time we ever met together. So you're like, why are these ladies meeting? You haven't really given me anything about this. Well, at this time, we had nothing. We were literally just meeting together to see what we could do. We use photography as type of a confidence tool to let ladies see themselves in a different light. So you might not know how to be this person, how to do your hair or your makeup, but that doesn't matter because we're really here to sit down with you and spend time teaching you those things while we learn about you, while we help you through different life aspects. So this was really awesome for us to get to experience because being nobody, we invited people to come out and have this pinup moment with us. So it was really awesome our first time. So after that, we started a couple different things. We did the color run together at Art of Men's Cuts, we did some car shows just to raise a little bit of money here and there for charity. We didn't really have a specific charity. We didn't have a specific meaning. All we knew is that we wanted to be ladies while showing our inner bombshell. So it was very important to be ladies. There's lots of different women's organizations, lots of people you see at car shows. That is not the type of people we want you to see us as. We want to be a pillar of our community. Excuse me, my voice has been really cracky for about a week, so I'm kind of surprised I'm even talking to you today. Some of y'all can attest to that. So we had no idea what we were doing. Again, just kind of out there hanging out. But we really started being seen by the public. We were getting more attendance as far as ladies and people showing up, and they were interested in what we were doing. So we did a statue dedication at my friend's place in North Little Rock, and it was really our first meaningful moment for the Cherry Dames. So as far as doing anything for our community, we hadn't yet. Bennett's, they helped us with one of our photo shoots. At this photo shoot, we had a couple new ladies that we really helped them see a different part of themselves. So still, everything that I've told you is kind of impacting only the people that are in the group. So yes, that is pretty much what we do. But we weren't happy. We didn't want that to be the only thing we did. We wanted the community to be a part of us, to see us. We wanted to affect lives. So here we are, me and Tasha, doing this thing we didn't have no idea about. And all of a sudden, these ladies had anxiety, depression. They had issues. They were stay-at-home moms. They didn't know what to do with their lives. They wanted more meaning as well. So we set out to do more stuff. Out of Darkness is something that we are currently involved in this year as well, but that was our very first time to do it together. We will do it every single year along with Out of Darkness is suicide awareness. And like October 3rd, we have Autism Speaks, and that is something else we will also be involved with every year. So we had a new girls meeting. Now we have about 40 people. We still 40 people coming out and hanging out with us. Not sure what our point is to have the group yet. Dickie Stevens allowed us to do a car show there. We got to be the girls that come hang out. These three ladies down here, me and Tasha and Heather, were the first people to really impact anything. So Junior Auxiliary of Saline County, they asked us to be a part of their 20s night. So we, never being done serving or anything of the sort, that's not our group. Arkansas Cherry Dames are not servers, but that didn't matter because we are conforming to what the charity needed for us. So it was really our first step into doing something a little bit different that was out of our normal, because these ladies, they do have anxiety. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to go out and do things. If your friend calls you to go out to the bar, you're busy. You had a long day at work. If you're planning to go do something, you're probably going to make it there. These ladies are excited. They plan for that day of the month when we get to meet together. So we are impacting these days 50 ladies, their moods. They're coming to work. They're being better women for you at home, being better women for their children. And you're like, oh, why do women have to be better? I think all of us are on a journey in life to be a better person. So as nobody wants to stay at home and feel down in the dumps, even gentlemen, you know that your lady is never as prosperous for all the things you need her for if she's not happy. So we are making lives different at home, at work, all over the place. We do things like Mom and Me. This allowed a different generation to completely understand what we're doing. They loved it. Our daughters see us, I say this all the time because it's my favorite. My kids think I'm famous. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. But if I am showing my daughter that I am being a strong woman, then I set out my goal with or without this group. So we had some other ladies. This is actually Tasha's mom. She loves our group and she is very involved with us. So this year, we decided we were going to do bigger and better. We were tired of these little things. Again, we were just in the stepping stones. All of that was the first year. February of 2016, we will actually celebrate our second year together. So we're still a baby. We're not actually qualified as a nonprofit yet. We are not on that. We are on that path, but that is part of why we're here today, to look for help for things like that. We don't have sponsors that back us. The ladies pay about $100 a year to be in our group, and that allows us to provide things for them. That money doesn't go to charity or anything like that. We do birthday things. When you are part of our group, you're in an actual sisterhood, so there are some things that we do for you. But this was our first event. It is the Rockabilly Riot. The Rev Room helped sponsor us, and we did the whole thing for charity. We did it for Out of Darkness with the suicide awareness and Autism Speaks. So we raised about $1,000, and we were super excited. The first time we had ever done anything like that. The Rev Room was totally backing us. They helped us the entire way. And no, it wasn't smooth, but it was still wonderful. So next year we want bigger and better, but that is, again, while we're here today. We can't do this without our community. Even if we only had the 50 ladies that are in it right now, that's not enough. That's not impacting enough for me. So we did a superhero bowl-a-thon early in the year, and that one was quite small. It was even smaller than the one we just had. And so even though we raised more money at that one, that is our ladies getting out and doing the footwork. That is not the event being prosperous. So we want our community to know more about us, be able to be there and back us. We all the time are using advertisement as a way to trade. Just some of you who walked in today and talked to us, you talk to us, and that's the point. If you are talking, we are letting you know different things. We are talking about our community. We're talking about the events that you're having. We are doing different stuff for charity. We want to be a prosperous group. You're like, oh, these ladies are up here. They look pretty. They dressed up. They did nice things. Oh, you do charity. That's wonderful. But really, we are impacting serious amounts of women, and they see us. They see the attention that we're getting, and we're not showing our bellies. We're not walking around asking for that type of attention, and we're probably getting more attention than those ladies are. So that is something that I want to bring back to Arkansas. Being a lady while showing your inner bombshell, isn't that awesome? Wouldn't you want somebody to think of you that way? Well, people are definitely thinking of us that way, and we want to continue being part of that community. So you see what we've done. It's not a whole lot. We want more and better. Not even being at 2 years yet, I'm surprised that we've done this. But I'm excited to see what people can be there and do for us. We want to have people who sponsor our t-shirts. We wear our t-shirts to lots of different things. We were just at Legends of Arkansas wearing our t-shirts. Your business could have been advertised at that period of time the entire day we were there. We need people like that to be a part of us. We can't grow if we don't have a little bit of help. So anybody that may be involved in charity aspects, it might not be something anybody here. You may know a person that could help us out. You may know somebody that's like, hey, they need to be at their next event. If your company is throwing a meet and greet and you just need somebody to stand at the door and hand out flyers, that is us. They will talk to us because the way that we present ourselves. So let us talk about you.
A little bit short on time today. Great job presenting, ladies. What I would encourage you guys to do, what is the best way for us to learn more about Cherry Dames after the event, and also all of you know what to do afterwards if you want to have extra questions, but how can we find?
So please, let's take a photo together. I want as many people to hear about us as possible. If so, you can tag Arkansas Cherry Dames. We have a new Instagram. We have a Facebook. I have a business card that has my phone number on it. So if you don't like any of those social outlets, then you just come to me and we'll work something out. If you might have an idea and it's not fully developed, let us help you with that. Me and Tasha and quite a few other ladies that we have on a board, we consider ourselves confidence coaches. So at the very simplest, if you have a wife that might need to get out, then come talk to me. That is the very smallest way you can help. On the big scale, if you have a company that might be interested in doing something with us, we don't charge to be at events. That's not the point. We are there for you to help you broaden your aspect of people that you can see and talk to and have your business out there. So we want to help. At the same time, every time we help you, it helps us. So.
All right, let's give it up for Cherry Dames. Jessica, Tasha, thank you. Sorry, we don't have much time for questions, so thank you all.
Thank you.
And you guys know where to go to find out more information. Ladies, thank you. All right, so thank you all for coming out. One last thing we want to tell you guys for this week is we are announcing 2 new organizers. And also, before we make that announcement, I want to preface with some changes that will kind of be happening over the next 2 months. So the 1 Million Cups handbook, kind of playbook that each city is given, suggests that our organizing crew be rotated out every once in a while. So they'd like to see kind of every 8 or 12 months, we have a rotation of people coming through, bringing fresh faces and new energy to our community. And with that, all of our organizing crew is proud to say that we have overextended that by a long shot. All of us have been on for over a year, and we've been proud to be a part of this. But over the next 2 months, our organizing crew that you currently see on the website and we talk about each week, we will be transitioning out to support 1 Million Cups. And we will be giving opportunities for new organizers to come up and be the face of what's going on and have that opportunity to be the community representative for entrepreneurship in Little Rock. And we're really excited. We're actually trying to build a team that we feel like can pass on the torch and grow even better than we did. And we have some rock stars so far. So I'm trying to see if he's still here. So is he? Can you go grab him real quick, Mike? All right, I would like to announce that we are welcoming Spencer Jones and Kim Lane to our organizing crew. Do y'all mind coming up here real quick? All right, so you guys just heard how awesome Spencer's business is. I don't have to give you an introduction. Kim Lane has been an amazing 1 Million Cups community member. She is also a part of Arkansas Money in Politics, and is a person that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have gotten to know because she's been such a great supporter of people's efforts. We're proud to have both of you guys on, and we're looking forward to growing forward. And for you folks out there, we are still ramping up and probably adding on a couple more people. And so we're open for suggestions and be looking forward to seeing these folks because they're going to do an amazing job carrying the torch. Thank you all, and we look forward to moving the ball forward. All right, thank you all for coming out. We'll see y'all next week, like every Wednesday. It's Co-work Wednesday. We got coffee, we got space, and also the Tech Park does have lease space available. And if you're interested in and desk space for your small business, make sure and get in touch with a venture center person or me, or I can introduce you to Brent, who is the director of the tech park. You look interested. Oh, yeah, real quick.
Really quickly, a Yappy Hour again tomorrow at Dugan's Pub from 4 until 7 to raise awareness for Southern Paws Transport. We would love for any dog lovers to come out and have dinner with us.
All right. Y'all have a great week.